I'm here with former House of Delegates member Maggie McIntosh. First of all, Ms. McIntosh, you got to forgive me because from my young adulthood up, I've always heard about you and known about you, the great work that you did, but I never had the privilege of meeting you, so I'm a little starstruck here, all right?
Oh, don't be.
Your background, you're from Kansas originally, am I right?
Yeah. I'm from Kansas and moved out here after my family moved out here in 1970.
And you went to grad school at Johns Hopkins, right?
I did.
Now, do you consider yourself a native of Kansas or a Baltimorean?
I consider myself a Baltimorean. I've met a few people from Baltimore that, 20 years in Kansas, that nixed me,
You came here and fell in love.
Absolutely.
Now, you were a teacher, am I right?
I was a Baltimore City Schools art teacher.
And then you went on to Catonsville Community College, which is now CCBC Catonsville.
That's
where
right.
I actually started my college coaching career.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Good.
Ron Farrell was there when I was there. Helped me start there, and Randy Gregory as well. Now, how do you get from teaching into politics? That's a very interesting story.
Well, the interesting story is that I was always interested in civics and government and what was going on in the world. I mean, I'd sit in Kansas and read every newspaper I could get my hands on,
right.
Every magazine. So I was always very interested. Then in college, quite frankly, I joined a couple protests, and
You remember what those protests were about?
civil rights.
Yeah.
And also, I was very opposed to the war by the end. And then when we moved to Baltimore, quite frankly, in the late 70s, early 80s, they started cutting art from the schools.
Yep.
And so I ended up, through a couple maneuvers, getting a job with the city. But during the summers, I would volunteer for different people like Mary Pat Clark, and then Barbara Mikulski and others. And finally, Barbara Mikulski hired me. I was her first state director when she won for the United States Senate. And the bug had really bitten me then.
Right.
So I went on and ran myself for the House of Delegates.
Now, you were known for being straightforward, calling balls and strikes, to use a baseball pun.
Right.
And in 2002, you really became straightforward because you became the first openly member of the LGBTQ plus community. What led to you letting everyone know?
Yeah, that's a very interesting story because I actually thought I was living an open life. I had a partner. I lived openly with that partner, but I just wasn't out vocal beyond my circle, beyond my neighborhood, beyond my, community about being out. And it ties back to Kansas. I went home to Kansas to visit some friends, and one of my friends is gay. And she is a gay to this day. And she couldn't do this and couldn't do that and couldn't do the other because she was afraid that people would find out. And I just remember on that plane ride on the way home, I just thought, the only way you take fear out of this is for all of us to come out and really be more open. And so I did. And then, of course, that was during the time that we were trying to get public accommodations and other bills through the legislature. So I was very active in that as well.
Do you consider yourself an ambassador of the LGBTQ plus community?
Do I consider
yourself an ambassador?
Ambassador?
An ambassador.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I, that was a momentous occasion to get marriage through in Maryland. We led the country in many ways on that. It wasn't just me. It took more than a village.
Yeah.
It took a huge number of people, organizations, groups that came together to get that passed. But I was proud to be a part of it.
You ready for the first pitch? No pressure. There's only tens of thousands of people watching.
I know. Here's the deal. The ball is going to be in my hand, and it's going to leave my hand. I have no idea where it's going, but I'm going to try to make it go straight forward, okay?
Maggie McIntosh, thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Absolutely.
Have a great night. Go
You too.